Top 10 Disgusting Foods Westerners Eat. We as of late distributed top-notch on nauseating nourishments the Chinese eat. We were generously called names, you can figure which ones, and blamed for a predisposition that overlooks our own wonderful European, and European-starting, society's nourishments that might be stomach-turning. Clearly some of these will be memorable as we tend not to consider the majority of the nourishments we eat today as sickening. However, there are a couple of amazing increments from our present admission. One proviso: I love offal, consequently I am opposing the impulse to bow to the advanced inclination to be stunned by genuinely customary cuts of it, so don't expect a rundown brimming with kidneys, livers, and hearts, which are all scrumptious and you should attempt them. 10 Alaskan Ice Cream. Stage 1, beat a seal to death with a bat. Stage 2, pause, who thinks about Stage 2? We should make a more critical gander at stride 1. Sufficiently sure, a kuchk, known as Alaskan Indian ice cream in Alaska, is a frozen yogurt made in Canada and Alaska with starting points in the local Eskimos of the districts, yet additionally received all the more comprehensively by those living there. Though most of us utilize fat from eggs or milk to make our frozen yogurt, this one uses caribou fat and oil from newly beaten seals. Yes, you can lawfully pound the life out of seals in Canada. You can likewise lawfully chase polar bears. It is blended in with berries and sweet roots. Also, if improved and chilled seal fat doesn't make you feel sick, what about this? It is generally made with the expansion of fish and dried moose meat. That is correct. Fishy, substantial, frozen yogurt produced using slammed seals and creature fat. It's not helped by the way that it would seem that a bowl of wiped out either. 9 Rocky Mountain oysters, known by an assortment of names, for example, criadillas in Spanish-talking nations, and grassland shellfish in parts of North America. These are singed bull's gonads. You can utilize your creative mind with regards to working out why this dish is named after the foul shellfish that gives us wonderful pearls. The balls are served in an assortment of ways. The most famous is crumbed, and keeping in mind that they were once nourishment for cattle rustlers, they are presently well known in numerous spots among customary people. In the event that you get a craving for a significant piece of balls, you can drop into Bruce's Bar in Colorado, where they have been serving them since 1957. With an end goal to blend things up, they additionally serve sheep and buffalo testicles. Various other American towns likewise have yearly gonad eating celebrations. 8 Blood Clot Soup. Blood hot dog, or dark pudding as it is likewise known, is a certain something, yet a bowl loaded with blood clusters is something else completely. Except if you're Lithuanian. Kraujin sriuba, juka, is a soup made out of the tissue of a whole chicken, duck, or goose and a decent measured cup loaded with blood. It is totally bubbled along with a couple of spices and some grain and eaten with dark bread. Blood is a famous dish of numerous European nations and is eaten in an assortment of ways, most normally, as referenced, as wiener. However, in Scandinavian countries it is additionally some of the time filled in as blood hotcakes with a side of reindeer meat. Overall, Lithuanian food is exceptionally rich and incredibly great, and the country has extremely low paces of stoutness. Possibly we as a whole need to begin drinking blood clumps. 7 Fish guts. At the tallness of its utilization in the main century AD, garum, a sauce produced using spoiling matured fish innards, was staggeringly well known in the Roman Empire. It was every now and again joined with wine, oil, ground pepper, and even simply water to make a scope of various sauces or beverages that could be devoured straight or added to different dinners. Indeed, even the most desperate worker could manage the cost of essential garum, while the fanciest adaptation would bankrupt even the rich working-class landowner. Processing plants devoted to its creation jumped up over the realm, and committed shipping lanes conveyed the smelling fluid to its uttermost spans. There is no accurate proportional in the West today, however the fish sauces of Asia approach, and English Worcestershire sauce is produced using matured entire anchovies, guts included. Fiercely well known at the tallness of the Roman Empire, it blurred with its fall and floated out of Western cooking, maybe because of the express smell of the stuff. 6 Rotten shark. Discussing stinky, the Icelandic public dish of restored, spoiled shark is foul in the extraordinary. Produced using the Greenland shark, hakal is noxious when eaten crude and genuinely rank when eaten relieved. It's been matured in Iceland for quite a long time and is even referenced in the Icelandic sagas. The tissues of the Greenland shark contain a lot of smelling salts rich urea, a compound likewise found in that notable delicacy called pea. What's more, if that wasn't awful enough, the loathsomeness is increased by restoring the shark and afterward letting it break down for 2 or 3 months before hacking off lumps of sharp, rotting, rubbery tissue. Some who have eaten hakal state that it's the most foul food on earth. I'll trust them since I sure as damnation don't anticipate regularly putting it close to my mouth. 5 mice. You may think about a dormouse as a lethargic little hamster or a character in Alice in Wonderland, yet to certain individuals, they were, and are, food. In antiquated Rome, dormice were cooked as an exceptional delicacy. The Romans brought them up in an exceptional earthenware container called a glirarium. In the wild, dormice rest for the whole winter. In the glirarium, which was kept dull, the dormice slept the entire year, which is the way they were stuffed. The containers had little flights of stairs for the dormice, places for them to store food, and air gaps. At the point when they were truly fat, the dormice would be loaded down with nuts and cooked with nectar and flavors. Ordinarily, they were filled in as a tidbit. Today, wild dormice are as yet pursued and eaten in certain pieces of Slovenia and Croatia and are viewed as a delicacy. In different spots, they are basic tidbits served between several pieces of bread. For maggot cheese, Kazimazu is a customary Sardinian cheddar produced using sheep's milk. In any case, the genuine grossness factor originates from what the cheddar contains: squirming live worms. The cheddar is brought to a phase that some consider to be deterioration. Hatchlings of the cheddar fly, Biophilicaceae, are brought to the cheddar to help separate its fat. They eat through the smooth mass, causing it to mollify, and leak a fluid known as lagrima, tear. While a few people eliminate the worms before utilization, numerous individuals devour the cheddar parasites whatnot. While doing as such, individuals are encouraged to cover their eyes, as the worms can jump out trying to get away. I think I'll adhere to blue vein cheddar. 3 raw Puffin Hearts. Puffins are little fowls with high contrast quills. They have childishly oversized snouts and are completely lovable. Gordon Ramsay, being no more unusual to debate, as of late experienced harsh criticism for eating the crude heart from a dead puffin he had executed during a scene of his TV arrangement The F Word. Basic entitlements bunches were obviously extremely worked up, and numerous individuals protested the savagery of the demonstration. Notwithstanding, the individuals of Iceland would not have fluttered an eyelash at his activities. The explanation behind this is, in Iceland, crude puffin heart is really viewed as a delicacy, and puffins are eaten for food constantly. Ramsay really had all the best possible allows and was freed from many bad behavior by the media specialists. Presently, if eating puffin hearts makes you dismal, snatch the tissues, since the French eat something more terrible. To roast ortolan. This delightful fledgling is the size of a man's thumb and weighs not exactly an ounce. It is intended to be eaten feet first, with the bill and head being last, so you can appreciate the unobtrusive kinds of the mind when the little skull breaks between your teeth. In 1999 the French government restricted its utilization as food, yet they likewise prohibited the utilization and offer of ocean turtle shell and ivory, yet both are still legitimately sold through escape clauses and lawful exemptions for the extremely rich. The cost one feathered creature now on the underground market is around $180. The late cook Anthony Bourdain, who balanced himself in 2018, ate the flying creature and portrayed his experience. I cut my molars down and threw my fledgling's rib confine with a wet crunch and am remunerated with a singing hot surge of copying fat and guts down my throat. Once in a while have torment and enjoyment joined so well. I'm happily awkward, taking, to put it plainly, controlled wheezes as I proceed gradually, to bite. With each nibble, as the flimsy bones and layers of fat, meat, skin, and organs minimized in on themselves, There are magnificent spills of changed and wondrous old flavors: figs, armagnac, dulciche marginally injected with the pungent taste of my own blood as my mouth is pricked by the sharp bones. As I swallow, I attract the head and snout, which, as of recently, have been dangling from my lips, and joyfully pound the skull. If biting down on the itty-bitty body of a minuscule birdie doesn't cause you to flinch, you're cold-blooded. 1. Chemicals. Everywhere it must be conceded, the sheer volume of synthetic concoctions of obscure beginning ought to appall us all. Consider, for a second, the common Western market. Eliminate the external passageways. These are normally new nourishments like vegetables, dairy, and meats, and the cleaning paths, and what you are left with is essentially negligible human food splashed in synthetic compounds. The synthetics fill some needs. They add shading to pallid items that essentially appear as though ooze when mass-delivered in processing plants. They include or upgrade flavor, when all the characteristic flavor as fats is stripped out, due generally to the incredibly off-base and far-reaching conviction that creature fat is perilous to people, and they add surface-altering characteristics, to keep powders dry, to keep fluids wet, or to join things that normally repulse each other together, emulsifiers. While huge numbers of these are viewed as protected, or safe in low dosages, the normal Westerner is currently eating an eating routine of nourishments that are predominantly contaminated somehow or another. To me, that is more disturbing than some other thing on this rundown or any common food from history. Goodness, furthermore, just to polish things off on actually the grossest note conceivable, 3 legitimate food-added substances you have most likely eaten for the current week are beaver butt-centric emissions, bugs, and human hair from China.